spinal cord. That is posterior root with what? With the spinal ganglion, joint with anterior root. It is spinal nerve, trunk of the spinal nerve. That is ramus tarsalis, ramus ventralis. Here it is the same. Root. If we speak about somatic reflex arc, somatic, you already know that it starts from receptor in tissues. First sensor neuron, where is it? In spinal ganglion. Second internuncial neuron in posterior horn. Motor neuron in anterior horn. And then anterior root, spinal nerve, and goes to striatic muscles. That is effector. That is a somatic reflex arc. First sensor in ganglion, second in posterior horn, motor neuron in anterior horn, and effector. If we speak about vegetative, we start to study vegetative nervous system. And vegetative nervous system has, what is the name of this vegetative nucleus in spinal cord? Yes, nucleus intermedial lateralis. It is sympathetic nucleus. It is in segments from CH till number 3. And if we speak about innervation, it also supplies muscles, bones, ligaments, skin, everything, and inner organs. Sympathetic nervous system supplies everything. If you speak about muscles, it also supplies muscles, but the nutrition, it supplies vessels which conduct blood to muscles, to tissues. That is why receptors may be the same in tissues. That is receptor in tissues. First sensory neuron, the same in spinal ganglion, and internuncial neuron in nucleus intermedio lateralis. That is a second neuron. An axon of the second neuron, it goes to anterior root, then goes to spinal nerve, and you know that spinal nerve the same has ramus communicans albus and ramus communicans grissus. And this preganglionic fibers goes to ganglion. It is third motor neuron, and from this motor neuron postganglionic fibers goes to the spinal nerve through rami communicans grisi and continues, for example, to smooth muscles in vessels, for example. That is sympathetic reflex arc. And if we speak about innervation of inner organs, it is receptor in organ, axon goes to ganglion, pass through, that is the same, first neuron in spinal ganglion, second neuron in nucleus intermedio lateralis, and third neuron the same maybe in ganglion of sympathetic trunk, and postganglionic fibers goes to inner organ, or some fibers goes to ganglion of the second order, that is ganglion intermedius, and the same goes to smooth muscles. That is why sympathetic innervation of inner organs, third neuron in this case, may be in ganglion of the first order, that is ganglion of sympathetic trunk, or in ganglion of the second order, that is ganglia intermedia in vegetative plexus. That is, if we speak about differences between somatic and vegetative reflex arc, in somatic reflex arc, motor neuron in anterior horn, in vegetative motor neuron always in vegetative ganglion, in sympathetic that is ganglion of the first order, or in ganglion of the second order. If we speak about parasympathetic reflex arc, that is spinal cord, and parasympathetic nucleus, we have in sacral segments, that is nucleus parasympathicus sacralis. It is in segments from S2 to S4, and it is the same. We have spinal ganglion, anterior root, spinal nerve, radix dorsalis, radix ventralis, and now, for example, urinary bladder, that is urinary bladder. It is receptor in bladder. It passes through anterior root, spinal nerve, first neuron in spinal ganglion, and second neuron nucleus parasympathicus sacralis. And from this second neuron, axons pass through anterior root, spinal nerve, rami ventralis, and then goes to inner organ and finish in ganglion of the third order. Third neuron in ganglion terminale, ganglion of the third order, and then continues to inner organ and supplies smooth muscles. That is parasympathetic reflex arc. It is third neuron, the same in ganglion like here, but name of this ganglion, that is ganglion of the third order, ganglion terminale, near of inner organs. It is ganglions of the first order and second order in sympathetic. In parasympathetic, ganglion of the third order. In sympathetic, we have rami communicans albi, rami communicans grisi. There is no rami communicans albi and grisi, only through spinal nerves, and then goes to ganglion, and from ganglion supplies glands or smooth muscles. That is differences between sympathetic and parasympathetic reflex arc. And it is in synapses of sympathetic reflex arc. We have that is mediator, that is adrenaline and noradrenaline, and acetylcholine in synapses of parasympathetic nervous system. What else? Okay, that is midbrain. It is pons, then medulla oblongata, and spinal cord. That is foramen. It is foramen magnum. That is peduncles, cerebellum. Which vegetative nuclei do you remember in midbrain? Today you prepare this nucleus accessorius and nucleus medianus impor. They are vegetative nuclei of third cranial nerve, nervus oculomotorius, third cranial nerve. Next vegetative nucleus in pons, that is nucleus salivatorius superior, and fibers of this nucleus salivatorius superior pass in seventh cranial nerve. Then in medulla oblongata we have nucleus salivatorius inferior, and fibers pass in glossopharyngeal nerve, and the same heat is nucleus dorsalis nervi vagi goes to vagus nerve. All of these nuclei are parasympathetic, and these three nuclei in midbrain makes a segmentary center, that is mesencephalic center. These three nuclei makes another center, that is a bulbar, because most of them in bulbus cerebri and salivatorius superior, not far from them. That is bulbar center. Next center is sympathetic, that is nucleus intermedio-lateralis in segments from CH till lumbar 3, that is CH till lumbar 3, that is nucleus intermedio-lateralis. It is sympathetic center, and name of the center thoracolumbar center, because all thoracic segments and upper 3 lumbar. No, last cervical not count, it is thoracolumbar center. And last center in segments from S2 to S4, S2 to S4, that is the same parasympathetic center, sacral center, sacral. That is why how many vegetative centers, they are segmentary centers, we have 4. One is mesencephalic, second is bulbar, third is thoracolumbar, and last is sacral. And they are specific, some of them parasympathetic, 3 of them parasympathetic, and 1 is sympathetic. Suprasegmentary centers, they are not specific. They participate in both in sympathetic and in parasympathetic innervation. And suprasegmentary centers, that is cerebellum, that is hypothalamus, limbic system, corpus striatum or striopallidor system, and brain cortex. All of these centers are suprasegmentary, and they participate in parasympathetic and in sympathetic innervation. What else? Some words about ganglions. These ganglions, first, second, and third order. Each of these ganglion has 3 types of neurons. For example, here, that is a stomach. It is stomach, and it is ganglion. For example, that is ganglion of the second order. It's not so. It's maybe ganglion terminale. It's maybe first order ganglion. Not so important. This ganglion has 3 types of neurons. 1, 2, 3. 3 neurons. Names of these neurons: Dodgel cells. Dodgel cells of the first type, Dodgel cells of the second type, and Dodgel cells of the third type. First type, Dodgel cells of the first type, they are sensory neurons. Sensory. From receptors conduct sensory stimuli to this neuron. Dodgel cells of the third, that is first type, first. Third, that is internuncial, it's communicate first and second. And second neuron, that is motor, it supplies smooth muscles. That is second, and it is third. Sorry. That is second, heat is second, and that is third. First is sensory, second, that is a motor, and third, internuncial. And we receive peripheral reflex arc in the region of vegetative ganglion. Heat is this reflex arc and this reflex arc. These arches, they are central arches. They pass through central nervous systems, through spinal cord. But in vegetative nervous system, we have peripheral arches at the level of ganglion. These peripheral arches is possible because in vegetative ganglions we have 3 types of Dodgel cells: sensory first type, motor second type, and third type, that is internuncial neuron. It is only in vegetative nervous system is possible. In somatic, it is in somatic. There is no peripheral reflex arc, only central. In vegetative, it's possible to find peripheral reflex arc at the level of ganglion. Give me your manual.